It's a bit like looking for water in the outback. These drivers are searching for that sweet rhythm, where everything just clicks.
Spot on. It's that elusive flow state. When everything syncs up, the car, the track, the driver, that's when magic happens.
There's no mucking around for Sunoiler or Euro, straight down to business on this first flyer. They'll be keen to see what times they can clock in early on.
Yeah, and it's not just about speed. It's about rhythm, finding that flow around mid-Ohio with Chicane THR. Getting into that groove early can set the pace for the whole session.
With just 48 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Sunoiler crosses the line with their first flyer, clocking a 1:51.238. They're getting to grips with mid-Ohio with Chicane THR, filling out its quirks and corners.
It's like the first round of a chess match, Rob. They're making their opening moves, setting up for the later, faster laps where they'll really show their hand.
Sunoiler has a best lap time of 1:51.238. Smells like we posted 4:27.045 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Let's talk rubber. Tire pressures ain't just about pumping 'em up and hitting the road. It's like a fine art.
Couldn't have said it better. Tire pressures can dramatically impact the contact patch, the actual bit of tire touching the tarmac. Too high and you lose temperature and grip, too low, and you risk overheating, uneven wear, even a blowout. Each tire will have its own sweet spot where they grip best.
Smells Like We has a best lap time of 1:46.825. Sunoiler's first serious lap is in the books with a time of 1:49.039. Good effort, but I'm expecting them to really push the envelope in the next few laps.
Yeah, it's about building that momentum, Rob. Fine-tuning their approach with each turn, each lap, getting more out of the car and themselves.
There's the first flying lap for Smells Like We, hitting 1:46.825. It's a start, but they'll be looking to iron out those kinks as they get more laps under their belt.
Right on, Rob. It's early in the session, so there's plenty of time to experiment and find those extra tenths of a second.
Megasaurus 55 is rolling out for the first sniff of the track. It's all about feeling the car, the tarmac, and getting the mind in the zone.
Absolutely, Rob. The out lap is like the opening chapter of a book. It sets the tone for the whole story. They'll be checking how the car's responding, getting a real feel for the conditions today at Mid-Ohio with Chicane THR.
Sunoiler's first flyer is a solid start, clocking in at 2:03.828. They're getting a feel for the track, but there's room to shave off a few more seconds.
Absolutely, Rob. It's all about finding those little tweaks, adjusting the line here, braking a tad later there. Every lap is a learning curve.
Smells Like We crosses the line with their first flyer, clocking a 4:00.364. They're getting to grips with Mid-Ohio with Chicane THR, feeling out its quirks and corners.
It's like the first round of a chess match, Rob. They're making their opening moves, setting up for the later, faster laps where they'll really show their hand.
You know, mate, some folks wonder why these drivers spend so much time in practice. But it's just like prepping a Barbie, you gotta get it right before the big show.
Exactly, Rob. Practice makes perfect, and in racing, perfect can be the difference between pole position and the back of the grid.
Megasaurus 55's on the outlap, getting a taste of the tarmac. It's like sniffing the cork before a good wine, first impressions matter.
Exactly. They're assessing the grip, the balance, the whole shebang. You can learn a lot in these quiet moments before the throttle really opens up.
With just 39 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Watch as Megasaurus 55 takes it nice and easy on this outlap. It's not just about warming up the tires, it's about getting into that mental pit lane, tuning into the race mindset.
For sure, Rob. They're calibrating everything: the brakes, the steering, the throttle response. It's a crucial part of laying down the groundwork for a successful practice session.
Alright, smells like we has put down a 1:47.141. It's a decent benchmark, but I reckon there's more juice to squeeze out of that TCL Triumph Dolomite Sprint.
For sure, Rob. It's early days. They're just starting to sync up with the track. We'll likely see those times tumble as they dial in.
There goes Megasaurus 55, on their first dance with Mid-Ohio with Chicane THR. Every bend, every straight is a chance to learn, to adapt.
Yep, and it's about syncing with the car too. Making sure everything's in harmony. It's like tuning an instrument before a big concert.
Smells like we has a best lap time of 1:46.825. Sunoiler posted 1:54.237 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? You ever think about what's ticking inside a driver's noggin during these laps?
All the time. It's a mix of analyzing, strategizing, and adapting. Every corner, every straight is a puzzle, and they're trying to solve it at full speed.
In these sessions, they're not just pushing the car's limits, but their own too. Testing their mettle, seeing how far they can go before the big dance.
Exactly. It's a mental game as much as a physical one. Balancing aggression with precision, daring with data. It's an art and a science.
Smells Like Wee's first serious lap is in the books with a time of 2:12.549. Good effort, but I'm expecting them to really push the envelope in the next few laps.
Yeah, it's about building that momentum, Rob. Fine-tuning their approach with each turn, each lap, getting more out of the car and themselves.
Look at Megasaurus 55 go, they're really giving it some jandal now. The first flyer is always a bit of a reconnaissance mission, a mix of caution and raw pace.
You bet, Rob. They're mapping out the track, feeling out the grip levels, and getting a sense of how the car's performing today. It's a crucial lap for building confidence.
Sunoiler has a best lap time of 1:49.039. Megasaurus 55 is not hanging about, straight into the thick of it on this first flying lap. They're getting a real taste of the TCL Ford Capri Mk 1.5's capabilities.
Absolutely. It's about understanding the limits early on. You'll see them experimenting with braking points and turn-in speeds, all while keeping an eye on those tire temps.
Nathan Vexler is getting to grips with the TCL BMW 2002 in this practice session. Eddie G is on their first practice flying lap. Megasaurus 55 crosses the line with their first flyer, clocking a 1:58.595. They're getting to grips with Mid-Ohio with Chicane THR, feeling out its quirks and corners.
It's like the first round of a chess match, Rob. They're making their opening moves, setting up for the later, faster laps where they'll really show their hand.
There are just over 30 minutes left in this practice session. It's all about finding that sweet spot during these sessions, like tuning a didgeridoo, but way faster.
Haha, and a lot noisier. But you're right, in Indy, we fine-tune until it feels just right. Every lap here is a step towards perfection.
There's the first flying lap for Smells Like Weed, hitting 2:37.497. It's a start, but they'll be looking to iron out those kinks as they get more laps under their belt.
Right on, Rob. It's early in the session, so there's plenty of time to experiment and find those extra tenths of a second.
The anticipation is high as the drivers line up for the qualifying session at Mid-Ohio with Chicane THR.
The pressure is on to set the fastest lap times, and the tension in the air is palpable.
Smells like Wee is on their outlap.
This is the moment they've been preparing for. Let's see if they can execute.
What a sublime effort by Smells Like Wee in qualifying. They have taken charge of the session, holding the top position with authority. Their consistency and skill have been unmatched so far, and they are positioning themselves for a favorable starting position.
You're absolutely right, Rob. Smells Like Wee has asserted their authority on the track with their commanding performance. The gap between them and the rest of the field is quite significant.
It's a masterclass from Narton Vexler in this qualification session. They have stamped their authority on the track, setting the pace and currently leading the pack. It's an outstanding performance, and they are making their intentions clear for the race ahead. There's a little bit of wind in the air today here at Mid-Ohio with Chicane THR as we're getting ready to get things underway.
The tension's building now. This is going to be another great race.
Sunoiler is holding down the fort in second place.
And they are looking to start the race on the Standards tire compound.
In the third position, we have Megasaurus 55 ready to tackle the race ahead.
Big things expected for Megasaurus 55 today.
Eddie G is going to be starting from fourth. Taking off from the fifth grid slot is the skilled driver, Smells Like Wee. Starting from sixth on the grid is a good position for Andreas Dittmann to launch an attack. Starting from pole position is the best possible outcome for Narton Vexler.
But they can't get cocky. This is Assetto Corsa, friends, and anything can happen.
Lights gone, the gloves are up, and bloody oath, it's game on.
This is where the true test of a driver's skill comes into play. It's all about finding the right line and carrying as much speed as possible through the turn.
The drivers will need to be precise and calculated if they want to make it through this section unscathed.
And with so many cars jostling for position, it's a real test of nerve as well. One wrong move and you could be out of the race before it even really gets started.
That's right, the pressure is really on these drivers to perform. You know, they say, steady as she goes, and that's exactly what Narton Vexler's doing. Holding on to one, maybe they've got a trick or two up their sleeve for later.
Let's hope they all brought their A games today.
Eddie G must have taken a page out of a superhero's book, because they've just shot off like the Flash.
Now, they just need to maintain that speed and focus. A blazing start for Eddie G, but as we all know, slow and steady can still win the race. Let's see if they can hold on to their advantage.
So Narton Vexler's decided to play it cool, eh? Holding onto one like a croc with a juicy steak. Just sizing up the competition, I reckon.
Like we say in North Carolina, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Maybe Nathan Vexler is keeping their pace steady for now, waiting for the right time to make a splash.
Lining up in second is Nathan Vexler. Consistency was an art, Nathan Vexler would be Picasso today. Just churning out those laps, one after the other.
Couldn't agree more. It's like they say, slow and steady might just win the race. Nathan Vexler's giving us a masterclass in patience and precision.
Wow, Sunoiler is really pushing hard to catch up to Megasaurus 55. There's blood in the water for second place.
The slightest mistake from either driver could lead to a meeting at the barriers, and nobody wants an impromptu autograph session at the wall.
A great moment for Sunoiler, who has just gained a place and moved up the standings. The adrenaline is pumping as Megasaurus 55 gets within striking distance of Sunoiler in their race for second.
Can they close up enough for a pass? I don't see it personally.
Fantastic move from Megasaurus 55, who has just gained a position.
Man, if racing was a barbecue, Megasaurus 55 just threw down the spiciest ribs. Up to second and sizzling.
Tough break for Megasaurus 55, who has just lost a position. If cars could sweat, Megasaurus 55's rear view would be a bloody waterfall right now. Close racing this.
I tell you what, Megasaurus 55 is putting on a clinic out there. Protecting that spot like it's the last piece of Mama's fried chicken.
Every move counts now as Eddie G works to reel in smells like wee and overtake for P2. The gap between Eddie G and Smells Like Wee is growing. It's now up to 1.6 seconds. This is where the skill and experience of the drivers really come into play. Sunoiler will need to stay focused and keep pushing, even when the gap seems insurmountable. It's not over until the checkered flag drops.
Exactly. Sunoiler's got to be careful not to overdrive, sort of like overcooking a steak.
Breaking news, folks. Things don't look to be going Sunoiler's way, as already they are into the pits. Sunoiler isn't just racing, they're weaving a narrative, sitting proudly in fifth.
Oh, for sure. But remember, the rearview mirror can be just as crucial as the windscreen. Sunoiler needs to watch out for those lurking in the shadows.
As the sun beats down and the engines roar, Nathan Vexler stakes a claim in first. Smells Like Wee is gaining on Nathan Vexler quicker than a croc on a wallaby. It's a blink and you'll miss it situation with 2.6 seconds separating them. Speaking of gambles, mate, what's your take on these mid-race fuel stop strategies? I reckon it's like deciding when to throw another shrimp on the barbie.
Timing is everything, like deciding when to pull out the moonshine at a family reunion. Wait too long, and you'll miss the party.
The gap between Sunoiler in 6th and Megasaurus 55 remains over a second, but Sunoiler is not letting up. They're pushing hard and looking for any opportunity to close that gap up. Can they pull it back in the remaining 16 minutes? The tension is building as Nart and Vexler trails behind Smells Like Weed. The gap is slowly but surely decreasing, and the pressure is mounting. Can Smells Like Weed hold on, or will Nart and Vexler be able to close them down?
Oh, for sure. It's like watching a cooking show where Nathan Vexler is trying to whip up a winning dish, but Smells Like Weed keeps hiding the main ingredient.
Oh mate, Sunoiler's impersonating a lost tourist. Did someone forget to tell them it's a race, not a bushwalk? Oi, Sunoiler's in a bit of a pickle, having to cover more ground than a kangaroo in the midday sun. Their only savior might be if Megasaurus 55 cocks up.
Yep, and even then, it's a long shot like trying to shoot a squirrel from 100 yards.
You know, Nart and Vexler reminds me of my dating life. Starts with promise, ends up tailing behind everyone else.
Absolutely. Nathan Vexler in 2nd will need to be patient and carefully work to reduce that gap without overdriving it, as they can't afford to take unnecessary risks and risk an off or damaging their car. Let's see if they have what it takes to get back into the game here.
Nart and Vexler's falling behind Smells Like Weed at a rate of knots. They're going to need some serious pedal power to close that gap. Crikey, Andreas Dittmann's got a gap ahead as vast as the Simpson Desert. The bloke's really got to pull up his socks to close that chasm.
Sure as sugar, down in Carolina, we'd say they're trailing like a turtle in a rabbit race. Well, butter my biscuit, the race ain't over till that flag waves. Got to keep those wheels rolling and eyes on the prize till the very end.
Things are looking as crook as Rookwood for Andreas Dittmann, lagging behind Eddie G and the gap stretching out like a long country road. They'll need to find some extra grunt to flip this situation. In the midst of this high-octane spectacle, Smells Like Weed's skill is shining through as they claim first. Smells Like Weed is really belting along the track, leaving Nart and Vexler struggling to keep pace.
That's right, Rob. If Nathan Vexler doesn't pick up the pace, they might as well be moving at a snail's pace.
It's a battle of wills out there, with Megasaurus 55 trying to outsmart and outmaneuver Andreas Dittmann. The gap is slowly closing, but time is running out. Will we see a dramatic finish to this race? It's starting to look like we might get a battle between Megasaurus 55 and Andreas Dittmann.
I reckon Megasaurus 55's dialed in their camber settings. They're getting a much better contact patch on the tires, gaining on Andreas Dittmann with every twist and turn.
Sunoiler has a mountain to climb at the moment to close that gap with Megasaurus 55. I expect their only hope at this point is that Megasaurus 55 makes an error.
Now, racing is a lot like Southern barbecue. It's all about patience and keeping the heat just right. So, let's see if Sunoiler can cook up a comeback.
Gee whiz, Sunoiler's getting some solid torque out of those corners. They must have figured out the perfect throttle control while trail braking.
Now this is what we call real racing. It's anyone's race, wide open as a Carolina sky. Who's gonna step up and take us to victory lane?
It looks like Nart and Vexler is pushing hard to catch up to Smells Like Weed. Braking alert. Oh, mate. That's how the old man used to drive after a couple of bevies at the pub. Not the right line, but definitely entertaining. The race has its rhythm, and right now, Eddie G is dancing to its beat at third. Oof, if Megasaurus 55 was a kangaroo, they'd be roadkill by now. Come on, mate, put some pep in that step. Bloody oath, Megasaurus 55 is flat out like a lizard drinking, gnawing into the gap to Andreas Dittmann down to a scant 1.1 seconds. This is going to be a nail-biter. Andreas Dittmann is defending for their life, but Megasaurus 55 is right there. Can they do it? Smells like wheeze off the track. Reminds me of my first car, a real lemon. Drove straight but only in reverse.
Dang. Smells like we decided to cut loose like it's spring break, 89. Wrong party, pal.
Looks like Andreas Dittmann is really pushing it to the limit. They're taking those curbs aggressively, but that can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curb can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer. It's all about finding the right balance between speed and control. In the theater of speed, this is the climax. Every move is a headline, every overtake a potential plot twist.
The gap between Andreas Dittmann and Megasaurus 55 is widening. It's now up to 1.6 seconds. Blimey, Sunoiler is so far back, they might as well stop for a beer at the pub. If they spot my ex there, tell them to drive faster. Tell ya what, Sunoiler is trailing like my mate Dave after a bender. Hope there's no random testing today.
I agree, Sunoiler is putting in the effort. Sort of like me at karaoke night, not sure about the results, but full points for enthusiasm.
It's a classic case of chasing down the car ahead for Megasaurus 55, who is currently in P4. But Eddie G is not making it easy, and the gap remains over a second. This will require some expert driving from Megasaurus 55. It's game on now. Megasaurus 55 has closed the gap to Eddie G. It's now down to 1.7 seconds.
That's a great effort from Megasaurus 55. They need to keep up the pressure and see if they can make a move.
It's like watching a cheetah chase its prey. Sunoiler's got Andreas Dittmann in their crosshairs. Well, don't come the raw prawn. Sunoiler's giving it some stick, pulling Andreas Dittmann into a mere 0.2 seconds.
Lukey here. Sunoiler's got the optimal differential settings, allowing for tighter corner exits. It's like watching a cat chase a laser pointer when they chase Andreas Dittmann.
Great driving from Sunoiler, who has just gained a place and moved up to 5th.
I tell ya, Sunoiler's hotter than a peppered pickle right now. Bold and spicy, claiming 5th like a champ.
The pressure is on for Andreas Dittmann as they try to catch up to Sunoiler.
This ain't a track, it's a coliseum, and the gladiators are putting on one hell of a show.
The age-old challenge. Megasaurus 55 is trying to catch Eddie G, sort of like trying to find a matching sock in the laundry. The struggle is real, folks.
Dang, Megasaurus 55 is so far back, he might start seeing last week's race. But hey, in racing, as in love, persistence is key. Right, y'all?
I've made some questionable life decisions, but trailing over 2 seconds behind? Even I'm not that self-sabotaging. This race has turned into a game of cat and mouse. Megasaurus 55 is the predator, with Eddie G firmly in their sights. Blimey, Megasaurus 55's just clocked the fastest lap. Faster than me rushing to snag the last sausage roll at a Bunnings barbecue. Why did the race car go to school? To improve its track record.
And I thought it was to accelerate its learning. Like the whispered legends told by the Smoky Mountains, this race still holds secrets.
Hold on a second. Well, Andreas Dittmann's spinning like my life in 2020. Someone get him a map? Or a therapist?
Dang, Andreas Dittmann was riding high, but that slip up. That's like tripping over your own shoelaces at the county fair.
Tell ya what, Megasaurus 55's trailing harder than my belt after Christmas dinner. Reckon he's got a plan up his sleeve, or is he just here for the sausage sizzle?
Lordy, it's like Megasaurus 55's driving with a boot full of moonshine. I haven't seen a gap that big since Uncle Jeb lost his front teeth.
Looks like Megasaurus 55 remembered to twist that anti-roll bar, giving him better cornering. If they get any closer to Eddie G, they'll be seeing what they had for brekkie.
Just what Megasaurus 55 needed, like sweet tea on a hot day. Can't let Eddie G out of sight for too long.
What a move. Megasaurus 55 has moved up to third.
You can't argue with results like that. Megasaurus 55 is really making their mark on this race.
You can feel the focus radiating from Megasaurus 55, confidently holding onto the third. Andreas Dittmann's drifting so far back, it's like looking in the mirror after a decade-long pub binge. Time's not been kind, mate. The gap between Andreas Dittmann and Sunweiler is expanding faster than a bull's waistline. It's now a whopping 39.3 seconds. You know, Hal, during a long race like this, how easy is it for a driver to experience a lapse in concentration?
It can be quite easy, Rob. With so many factors to consider and the intense focus required, even the most experienced drivers can have a momentary lapse. That's why mental training and staying in the zone are so important.
The rumble of the engine, the scent of the rubber, and Megasaurus 55 comfortably sitting at third. Struth, Megasaurus 55's driving like they've stolen it, putting some serious distance between themselves and Sunweiler. Is there anything left in Sunweiler's tank?
It's clear as day that Megasaurus 55 is holding all the cards. They're making it near impossible for Sunweiler to close that gap.
One thing I admire about Assetto Corsa friends is the sense of community. It's not just about the competition, it's about coming together, sharing knowledge, and pushing the boundaries of the sport.
You nailed it. Every time they hit the track, it's a culmination of shared experiences, lessons learned, and an undying passion for the sport. It's heartwarming and exhilarating all at once.
It's all about consistency for Megasaurus 55, who is currently third.
They're not just driving, they're performing. And right now, Megasaurus 55's act from third is worth an encore.
Everyone's on the edge of their seats, or in my case, on the edge of spilling my coffee. Sunweiler is getting closer to Megasaurus 55, and I'm getting closer to needing a towel.
You know, Sunweiler reminds me of my dog chasing its tail, persistent and entertaining. But I hope for them, there's a better end result in sight.
Sunweiler is on a charge. Their split time shows they have upped their pace.
Can Sunweiler keep it together?
I tell you, mate, the tech in these cars would outshine any gizmo you'd find in a Sydney cafe.
As long as it doesn't make my morning coffee, I'm good. But yeah, the tech here is like—
Hold up a mo, whoa. Sunweiler's on fire, leaving skid marks and Megasaurus 55's hopes behind. By the looks of it, Sunweiler's got Megasaurus 55 beat by a country mile. It'd take a blunder from Sunoiler for our mate to even sniff a chance.
Kinda like waiting on rain during a Carolina summer, rare but not impossible.
It's the classic cat and mouse game, but instead of cheese, the prize is a racing position. Can Smells Like We steal it from Nart and Vexler?
I've seen funeral processions move faster than Smells Like We right now. Come to think of it, at least they've got a destination in mind.
If Smells Like We doesn't pick up the pace, pal, they'll be as relevant as an ashtray on a motorbike. It's a game of cat and mouse out there, with Andreas Dittmann trying to find the perfect opportunity to make a move on Megasaurus 55. The gap is over a second, but every fraction counts. Can Andreas Dittmann close in enough to mount a challenge?
Hoo boy, Andreas Dittmann needs to kick it into high gear. Right now, they're slower than molasses in January or my cousin Earl trying to solve a crossword.
It might be early days, but Nart and Vexler is already casting a shadow from the first.
That's right, they can't afford to make any mistakes or let up in their performance. Every point counts in this championship.
Nart and Vexler is giving a masterclass out there, but will overconfidence be their downfall?
Indeed, Rob, pride comes before a fall. Let's see if Smells Like We can capitalize on any mistake.
If racing were a dance, Megasaurus 55 would be trying to lead, but Sunoiler just keeps cutting in. The dance floor is heating up. Oi, someone tell Megasaurus 55 this isn't a Sunday Arvo drive to the Bottle O. Sunoiler's making him look a bit slow out of the gate.
Shucks, Megasaurus 55 struggling like a catfish out of water. Meanwhile, Sunoiler is just sailing on by.
The gap between Sunoiler and Megasaurus 55 may be wide, but that doesn't mean Sunoiler is safe. They have to keep their concentration and avoid any lapses in performance.
If this was a game of beach cricket, Megasaurus 55 feet deep be still waiting for their turn to bat. Sunoiler's got a good lead on them.
Impressive driving from Sunoiler, who has managed to extend their lead over Megasaurus 55. They are walking away at this point. Does Megasaurus 55 have anything in reserve?
It's really looking like Sunoiler is going to be tough to pass today. They're driving with real confidence and authority.
It looks like Nart and Vexler has found another gear in the last sector of the race.
That's an impressive burst of speed. It's all but said and done now.
The leader has done it. What an incredible performance from Nart and Vexler, who was simply untouchable today. This is a race that will go down in the history books.
What a result for Nate and Vexler. They'll be absolutely thrilled with that performance, and rightly so. They really put in the work and it's paid off in spades.
Smells Like We never gave up. They drove with heart and determination, ultimately securing a well-deserved second place finish.
Strong work securing second place. Well done.
Followed by Eddie G in 6th. What a race from Sunoiler. They kept their cool and secured a well-earned 3rd place on the podium. 4th is Megasaurus 55. Andreas Dittmann in 5th. You've joined us on a breezy day here at Mid-Ohio with Chicane THR as we're getting ready to get things underway. Andreas Dittmann will be feeling confident starting from pole position.
But they can't let that advantage go to waste. They will need to stay focused and keep their eyes on the prize.
flying start.
It's all about keeping a level head and finding the groove. Like dancing to a country tune, one misstep and you're two-stepping right into trouble.
By crikey, Andreas Dittmann's already showing these drongos how it's done, nicking spots left, right, and center.
They say fortune favors the bold, and Andreas Dittmann is certainly proving that with this explosive start.
The racing is normally closely fought here at Mid-Ohio with Chicane THR. I think we are in for a cracking race. The drivers are jockeying for position. Nart and Vexler will be looking to get off to a good start and consolidate their position.
The race isn't won in the first turn, but there have been plenty that have ended there wrong.
Or, mate, if Andreas Dittmann were a meat pie, they'd be all crust and no filling. From a solid 1 to a dismal 5, we're all left scratching our heads here at Mid-Ohio with Chicane THR. Looks like Andreas Dittmann took a page from the tortoise's playbook, but I'm not sure slow and steady wins this race.
When you're gunning those engines at Mid-Ohio with Chicane THR, losing positions from 1 to 5 feels like spilling sweet tea on a summer day. Andreas Dittmann's got a mountain to climb now.
By the looks of it, Nathan Vexler in 4th is keen to throw another shrimp on the barbie and crank up the heat on Sunweiler. Hold on to your stubbies.
The gap between them is just over 0.7 seconds. Can Nathan Vexler close that gap and get back in range? I can't see it happening at this point.
Tyre degradations are right pain in the arse, but Nart and Vexler's handling it like a champ. Getting real up close and personal with Sunweiler, aren't they? In your experience, Hal, what was the most important aspect of managing tyre degradation during a race?
The most important aspect, Rob, was maintaining a good balance between pushing hard and conserving tires. Finding the sweet spot between aggression and tire preservation was key to optimizing race pace and strategy.
Every gear shift, every pedal push, Nart and Vexler's got one goal in mind, capturing Sunweiler's spot.
It's like watching a hawk circling its prey, waiting for the right moment to swoop.
Nart and Vexler's giving it a red-hot go, but can't seem to muster the pace to keep up with Sunweiler. It's like chasing a roux on a motorbike. You know, back in Oz, we have a saying, flat out like a lizard drinking. That's exactly what Nart and Vexler is doing right now.
I've always wondered, what's that even mean? Lizards, drinks, racing? Y'all have a wild imagination down under.
This isn't just racing, it's a duel. Watch as smells like Wee zeros in on Megasaurus 55, blade sharpened and ready.
With a gap tighter than a new pair of jeans, smells like Wee's pushing that TCL Triumph Dolomite Sprint to its limits. He's got that racer's instinct, looking for that sweet spot to pounce on Megasaurus 55.
The gap might be more than a second, but Nart and Vexler is showing persistence. Kind of like me trying to open a pickle jar. Keep it in, and something's got to give.
Gee whiz, Nathan Vexler is so far back, I'm half expecting to see tumbleweeds blow past. Maybe a vulture or two.
Nart and Vexler is pushing hard and has reduced the gap to Sunweiler to 0.9 seconds. Creaky, smells like Wheeze sticking to Megasaurus 55 like Vegemite on toast. This is more tense than a possum in headlights.
In this high-speed game of chess, it's all about strategy. Who will make the next move?
It seems like Smells Like We has got the bit between their teeth, improving on Megasaurus 55's lap time there.
Sweet tea on a hot day. Smells like Wee's laying it down track style. Megasaurus 55, you watching those rear views?
As we enjoy seeing these titans of the track battle it out, let's not forget about the pit crews. Those guys and girls are like a well-oiled machine themselves.
Absolutely. They're the unsung heroes of the racing world.
But sorry to cut in here, blimey. Sunoiler veered off the track like I veer away from commitment. Maybe they'll come back, unlike my ex. Well, butter my bread and call it a sandwich. Smells like Wee's not letting Megasaurus 55 have all the fairy bread at this party. Watch out, Megasaurus 55, he's coming for your Tim Tams, mate. Blimey, Smells like Wee's cranking up the downforce, making every newton of force count. That gap's shrinking faster than my wallet at the pub. This is getting exciting. Can Smells Like We pull off a late charge and gain a position? Megasaurus 55's pushing harder than a kangaroo in a boxing match, widening their lead over Smells Like We. They've found their rhythm like a didgeridoo player in full swing. Oh, this is getting intense. Smells Like We is just a few car lengths behind Megasaurus 55. Fair dinkum, Smells Like We is getting a wriggle on. The gap to Megasaurus 55 is now down to a whisker at 0.4 seconds.
He's waiting on that golden chance like a hound on a pork chop.
Looks like Nathan Vexler's strategy might just be to let the rest of them die of old age. It's a waiting game now.
Nail-biting indeed. I've already chewed through half of mine. And while Nathan Vexler is going for gold, I'll be going for a manicure.
Smells Like We is locked in, mate. It's like watching a kangaroo chasing down the last bit of green in the outback. Every move is calculated, every turn precise.
You said it, Rob. Over here, it'd be like a quarterback eyeing that end zone in the final seconds. Smells Like We is hungry for that top spot, and you can feel it.
Someone's revved up after lunch. Smells Like We's blitzed ahead, claiming first.
Dang, if Smells Like We keeps this up, we'll need to douse the track. Smokin' hot move to first.
You can feel the rumble from here. Megasaurus 55's in the thick of it, and they're not letting go. It's a battle of wills, and only the strongest will come out on top.
Yeah, it's like the final lap of the Daytona 500. Pedal to the metal, eyes on the prize, and no room for error. This is what racing's all about.
Megasaurus 55 is trying their best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Smells Like We at the moment. We often hear drivers complaining about tire graining. Hal, can you explain what that means and how it affects car handling?
Graining occurs when small rubber particles roll up on the tire's surface, reducing grip and negatively affecting handling. It usually happens when the tires are not in their optimal temperature window or when a driver is pushing too hard on a cold or overworked tire.
G'day viewers, if you're just tuning in, you've picked a ripper of a moment. Megasaurus 55 is in second and they're tailgating the leader. This is edge of your seat stuff.
You bet, Rob. It's like the leader's got a drop bear in the rear view mirror, lurking, waiting for that perfect moment to drop. Megasaurus 55 is surely smelling opportunity here.
Looks like Nathan Vexler is trying to chase down Sunoiler, but right now it feels a bit like my attempts at dieting. A lot of hard work with slow results.
It's moments like these that make motorsports so exciting. We're witnessing a battle of skill and strategy between two great drivers, with Nathan Vexler in fourth determined to catch up. But we know Sunoil isn't just going to hand it to them on a plate. Nathan Vexler is going to have to take it. It should be an interesting battle to watch as long as they can close that gap.
Who needs speed dating when you've got Megasaurus 55 chasing down smells like weed this eagerly? Move over Tinder, this is how you swipe right at 100 miles per hour.
Well, butter my biscuit. Megasaurus 55's hot on smells like Wee's tail, and not in the way you're thinking. There's some serious wooing going on in Mid-Ohio with Chicane THR today.
It's pedal to the metal for Megasaurus 55, while Smells Like Wee's still flipping through the radio channels.
Absolutely, Rob. But there's still a long way to go in this race, and Megasaurus 55 can't afford to get complacent. They have to keep driving with intensity and focus.
Blimey, Nathan Vexler's gunning it in fourth, just a whisker behind Sunoiler. Hope he's got his budgie smugglers on, cause things are about to get wet and wild. Smells Like Wee's in an exciting position at second. They've been maintaining pace for a few laps now, and with the leader just within a whisper's distance, things are heating up.
Absolutely. I think you would say it's tighter than a kangaroo in a sleeping bag up there. But yeah, every little decision now is crucial. One slip from the leader and our champ in second might just steal that top spot.
Now, that's what I'm talking about. Sunoiler is proper nipping at Nathan Vexler's heels. Are they thinking of making a lunge? Only time will tell. Well, blow me down. Sunoiler's lap time just gave Nathan Vexler a cheeky slap on the rear. Bet that left a mark.
Sunoiler's driving like they stole something, and that something is Nathan Vexler's dignity. Ouch.
Let's talk about tire degradation. How does it affect the car's handling and what the drivers need to do to adapt to the changing conditions?
Tire degradation can significantly impact handling, Rob. As the tires wear, the grip reduces, and drivers need to adjust their braking points, cornering speeds, and throttle application to maintain control of the car.
Here's the thing about racing, sometimes it's not just about speed. It's about pressure, mind games, and this, right here, is a masterclass from Megasaurus 55. Sticking so close to the leader, making him constantly aware of the imminent threat.
Spot on. It's like a shark circling its prey. The leader knows it, we know it, and by the looks of it, Megasaurus 55 is ready for the kill.
I tell you what, Megasaurus 55 has got more problems than a maths book right now. Smells Like Wee is leaving them in a cloud of dust. Andreas Dittmann's so far off pace, they might be better off in a hearse. At least then someone would be pushing from behind. Stone the crows. Andreas Dittmann's managed to trim that gap with Sunoiler, eh? Must be the slipstream effect on this straight. Or maybe they've put down that beer.
This is what racing is all about. It's anyone's game at this point. Who will come out on top?
In your experience, Hal, what was the most challenging aspect of maintaining concentration during a race?
The most challenging aspect, Rob, was managing the various inputs and distractions during the race, from radio communication with the team to monitoring car performance and race strategy. It's a delicate balancing act that requires immense mental discipline.
Megasaurus 55's more lost out there than I was after a night at the Gold Coast. And at least I woke up with a kebab in hand.
You ever been to a school reunion and thought, what happened to that guy? Well, I'm looking at Megasaurus 55, I'm thinking the same.
Looks like Andreas Dittmann is chasing Sunoiler harder than a croc chasing a tourist who's lost their thongs. It's a bit of a long shot, but we all remember that one time at the pub, right?
Yeehaw. It's like Andreas Dittmann took a detour through the drive-thru. With a gap that big, I hope they ordered extra determination with a side of grit.
Tell me, mate, ever tried doing a burnout in a ute? It's bloody bonza.
A ute? You guys and your funny names. That's just a pickup, right? Trust me, I've burnt more rubber than you've had shrimp on the Barbie.
The race is heating up as Andreas Dittmann in 5th closes in on Sunweiler. The gap is just over a second, and I'm sure they are going to do everything possible to try and close the distance. They're not giving up without a fight. Oh no, what's this? Well, crikey. Smells like we's taken a detour, just like I did when I tried to change my car's oil. Ended up with a flooded garage.
Well, butter my biscuit. Smells like we took a trip to the weeds. Must have thought they were at a barn dance the way they spun around.
The pursuit is on. Nathan Vexler is closing the gap on Smells Like We, determined to claim P2. Fair dinkum, Nathan Vexler's finding those aerodynamic sweet spots. Could be adjusting that front wing angle to cut through the air like a hot knife through butter. Big gains for Nathan Vexler as they move up the field, leaving Smells Like We behind. As Smells Like We trails Nathan Vexler, it's a bit reminiscent of my cat chasing a laser point. Determined, but always just a tad behind. Good news for Smells Like We, the gap to Nathan Vexler has decreased. It's now down to 0.9 seconds.
I've seen drivers fight G-forces, fatigue, and mental strain. But Smells Like We is doing more than just enduring, they're thriving. Nathan Vexler better check that rearview mirror.
The track conditions are looking good here today. The drivers will be able to push the cars to the limit, and it's going to make for some exciting racing. Smells Like We is giving it their all as they chase down Nathan Vexler in P2. The gap between Andreas Dittmann in 5th and Sunweiler remains over a second, but Andreas Dittmann is not letting up. They're pushing hard and looking for any opportunity to close that gap up. Can they pull it back in the remaining 2 minutes?
Speaking of rhythm, have you heard Sunweiler's favorite song? Maybe Andreas Dittmann can play it to distract them and close that gap. Just a thought.
Oi, Smells Like We, no time for a smoko break. Nathan Vexler's tearing up the track like it's the end of the world.
Hold the phone. Smells Like We's pace is off. They're like a horse with a hitch in its giddy up, while Nathan Vexler's riding high.
In a race where seconds count, Andreas Dittmann is counting on less of them between themselves and Sunweiler. Much like I'm counting on less seconds until lunchtime.
It's a nail-biting race for sure, with both drivers showing incredible skill and determination. But Sunweiler is not going to give up their position easily. This is going to be a battle to the very end, with Andreas Dittmann in P5 doing everything they can to catch up.
The gap between Andreas Dittmann and Sunweiler is growing. It's now up to 18.3 seconds. You ever ponder how these drivers manage the heat, especially in a tight cockpit? It's hotter than a ruse pouch in midday sun.
Ruse what? I mean, yeah, it's gotta be like driving in Arizona with the heater on, right?
This chase is as intense as a cricket match during the Ashes.
Cricket? I thought that was just a noisy bug. But seriously, it's like Game 7 of the World Series here.
It looks like Nathan Vexler is in control. They're ahead of Smells Like We by over a second, and it doesn't look like they're going to be challenged anytime soon. Crikey, Martin Wexler's flat out like a lizard drinking, pulling away from Smells Like We with quite a clip. What do you think, Hal? Are there any specific factors that could lead to a driver losing concentration during a race?
There are several factors, Rob. Fatigue, stress, changing track conditions, or even issues within the team can all contribute to a lapse in concentration. It's essential for drivers to stay mentally resilient and adapt to these challenges.
Wow, Martin Wexler is really pushing hard in these final moments of the race. We've seen overtakes, close calls, and pure racing genius today. Currently, Sunweiler has carved out a spot at 4th. The track is alive with action, and right in the thick of it, we've got Megasaurus 55 cruising in first. The leader has just finished the race. A fantastic result for Megasaurus 55. Martin Wexler takes second place with a fantastic race. That was an outstanding performance from Smells Like We. They fought hard and took the final spot on the podium. Finishing 4th is Sunweiler. With Andreas Dittmann in 5th.